Your mind is the battlefield, and clarity is your greatest weapon. Most people are not tired because of what they do physically. They're exhausted because of what they're carrying mentally. Confusion, doubt, anxiety, overthinking. These things cloud your judgment and drain your potential. But hear me today, a clear mind is a powerful mind. You cannot walk in purpose with a cluttered head. You cannot lead, build, create, or decide when your thoughts are disorganized. Mental clarity is not a luxury. It's a requirement for destiny. And until you master the secret of clarity, life will keep feeling like a foggy road with no direction. But I came to tell you, you can take control of your mind. You can unlock peace. You can unlock purpose. You can unlock power. And it starts by learning the secret of mental clarity. Stay with me, because by the end of this message, you're going to feel like a weight just lifted off your soul. Clarity begins with purpose. Clarity doesn't come from silence alone. It doesn't come from isolation. It doesn't even come from rest. True mental clarity begins with understanding your purpose. You can't expect your mind to be at peace when your life has no direction. A lot of people are mentally overwhelmed not because they are weak, but because they are misaligned. They are doing things they were never assigned to do. Waking up every morning and stepping into confusion, chasing after things that look good, but have no connection to their life's design. That's why they feel lost. Because they are. You see, when you don't know the purposes of something, you will inevitably misuse it. This is true for relationships, jobs, money, and especially your mind. If you don't understand the purpose of your mind, you will allow it to be filled with anything and everything. You'll wake up thinking about everything that's going wrong instead of what you were born to fix. You'll dwell on rejection instead of redirection. You'll become a storage unit of anxiety instead of a channel of clarity. Let me break this down. Your mind is a tool, a divine, powerful instrument designed to help you solve problems, build visions, and walk out your assignment on this earth. But most people don't use their minds for vision. They use them for comparison, fear, and insecurity. They scroll social media, watching everybody else's life, trying to make sense of their own. They wake up already feeling defeated because mentally they're living someone else's journey. But hear this. You will never have a clear mind living a life that isn't yours. You can't borrow someone else's dream and expect peace. You can't chase someone else's definition of success and expect fulfillment. Mental clarity requires a personal, non-negotiable connection to your own purpose. Once you understand what you were born to do, the fog starts lifting. Once you connect with your assignment, your mind starts to obey. Let me give you a practical example. Have you ever been driving without GPS, unsure of your route, second-guessing every turn? That's how most people live. Every decision becomes a burden. Every opportunity becomes stressful. Every conversation feels like noise. But the moment you put a destination in the GPS, even if the road is long or there's traffic, there's peace, because now you know where you're going. That's what purpose does for your mind. It gives it a destination. It silences the chaos. It tells your thoughts, this is where we're headed. This is what we're building. This is what matters. Without purpose, your mind becomes a battlefield with no rules. Every opinion matters. Every failure feels final. Every delay feels like denial. But once you understand your purpose, you become mentally unshakable. You stop entertaining nonsense. You stop giving energy to people who don't add to your vision. You stop questioning your worth based on what didn't work. Because now your mind is focused. Now your thoughts are aligned. Now you've tapped into the secret. And that secret is a clarity born out of purpose. Look at your own life. Think about the times when you felt most at peace. I guarantee you, it wasn't when you were the richest or the most popular or when everything around you was perfect. No, it was when you were doing something that felt something that felt like it came from your core. That moment where everything just clicked. Maybe it was serving someone. Maybe it was creating something. Maybe it was speaking truth. But you felt a flow. That wasn't coincidence. That was alignment. That was your mind responding to purpose. But here's the issue: most people bury those moments. They call them hobbies, side passions, or not realistic. And then they wonder why their mind is always racing, why they're tired even after sleeping, why they're successful but not fulfilled. It's because they've ignored the one thing that brings mental peace. There's living in line with why they exist. S's mental clarity is not about being smarter than others. It's about being more connected to your assignment. It's about having the courage to say, This is not for me, even when the world applauds it. It's about knowing what to walk away from and what to run toward. And that kind of clarity doesn't come from reading 100 books or meditating for hours. It comes from understanding your why. Why you wake up. Why you were given life. Why you went through what you did. Purpose brings peace. Not because it makes life easier, but because it makes it meaningful. It silences the noise. It turns confusion into confidence. And when you walk in that, when you truly tap into that sense of direction, your mind stops spinning. Your soul stops screaming. You stop needing constant validation because now your path is lit from within. Don't chase peace through escape. Chase it through alignment. The moment you embrace your purpose, your mind will start working peace for you, not against you. Because now it knows what to protect. It knows what to filter. It knows what belongs and what doesn't. And when your mind becomes that focused, that clear, nothing can stop you. Peace is a product of mental order. Peace doesn't just happen. It is not a random emotion that floats in when life is kind. Peace is a system. It is a easiest product of something deeper, something rooted, structured, intentional. And that something is ours in mental order. When your mind is scattered, your peace disappears. When your thoughts are fighting each other, your soul can't rest. That's the hidden war most people don't talk about, the war of mental chaos. You see people walking through life looking composed, smiling, showing up. But behind their eyes is a mental battlefield filled with unfinished thoughts, unresolved trauma, unnecessary obligations, and unspoken fear. The outer world looks fine, but the inner world is on fire. Because where there is no order, there is no peace. Let's make it plain. Your mind is like a closet. If you throw everything in without organizing, it looks okay when the door is closed. But the moment you try to find something meaningful, you're overwhelmed. You dig through the mess. You panic. You waste time, and nothing fits right. That's how most people operate mentally. They keep stuffing in emotions, thoughts, comparisons, regrets, responsibilities, all without structure. And then they wonder why they're always anxious, always tired, always second guessing. Peace is not about having nothing to do. Peace is about having everything to say in the right places. Peace doesn't mean your life is perfect. It means your mind knows what to focus on and what to release. You're not peaceful because everything is easy. You're peaceful because you've prioritized what matters. Let me give you a real life example. Imagine waking up in the morning and the first thing you do is reach for your phone. You open your messages, scroll through social media, read some news, reply to emails, all before your feet even touch the ground. You've already invited 20 different voices into your head before you've heard your own. You're mentally cluttered before the day has even started. You're already tired and the day hasn't even tested you yet. Now, compare that with someone who wakes up and takes 10 minutes to breathe, reflect, organize their thoughts, and set their intentions. No noise, no pressure, just alignment. That person is not superhuman. They just know how to protect their mind. They know peace is a result of what you allow, what you ignore, and what you choose to confront. Mental order means being an gatekeeper of your thoughts. It means not letting everything enter your mind. Not every message deserves a response. Not every emotion deserves a reaction. Not every opportunity deserves your energy. Order means you evaluate before you absorb. You measure before you move. And don't get it twisted. Being busy doesn't mean you're productive. Some of the most overwhelmed people are doing the most irrelevant things. They say yes to everything and lose themselves in the noise. Because without mental order, urgency always beats importance. You react instead of reflect. You chase instead of build. You hustle but never arrive. Let me talk to the person who's constantly overthinking. That's not because your brain is broken. It's because your mind has no structure. Every thought runs wild. Every scenario plays on repeat. You keep analyzing things you were supposed to accept. You keep holding on to people you were supposed to release. Your peace isn't gone. It's buried under your need to control everything. There's power in saying, I don't need to have it all figured out. I just need to know what matters today. Mental order gives you that power. It doesn't give you all the answers, but it gives you clarity about what you can control. And that's where peace grows, in the soil of clarity. Let me challenge you, when was the last time you mentally detoxed? Not your diet, not your inbox, your mind. When was the last time you sat down and said, these are the thoughts helping me. These are the ones hurting me. These people feed my focus. These people drain it. This habit is toxic. This routine brings me back to life. That's not therapy. That's mental leadership. And the people who lead their minds rule their worlds. Mental order also means making peace with unfinished things. Not everything in your life will have closure. Some things will end without explanation. Some people will leave without reason. Some chapters will close with a question mark, and that's okay. You don't need every puzzle piece to move forward. You just need peace with the pieces you already have. Do you know what clutters the mind more than anything else? Indecision. When you sit on the edge of choices, you invite confusion. You replay every outcome, you rehearse every risk, and you end up doing nothing. That stillness isn't peace. It's paralysis. And paralysis steals your power. Mental order means making a decision and letting your mind settle. It means being okay with not knowing everything and still choosing to move forward. You have to stop renting space in your mind to things that don't pay you in peace. If it doesn't add to your clarity, it's costing you. If it doesn't align with your goals, it's interrupting them. You can't afford to carry mental weight that has no value. Because your energy is your currency, and every thought is a transaction. Peace comes when your mental spending aligns with your emotional income. When you invest in thoughts that build you, not break you. When you structure your mind like a house with rooms for growth, doors for boundaries, and windows for perspective. Because at the end of the day, your peace isn't found in the absence of noise. It's found in the presence of mental order. What you feed your mind shapes its focus. What you feed your mind shapes its focus. It's one of the most underestimated truths in the world today. People guard their money. They guard their cars. They even guard their Wi-Fi passwords. But they leave their mind wide open, unguarded, unprotected, and completely vulnerable to anything that wants to walk in and take up space. You don't realize it, but every video you watch, every post you read, every word you absorb is feeding your mind. And like anything you feed, your mind will grow in the direction of the diet you give it. Let me tell you this, your focus is not broken. It's just overstuffed with the wrong content. You're not distracted because you're lazy. You're distracted because your mental menu is filled with junk that looks appealing but adds no value. Think about it. What do you consume the moment you wake up? Do you fill your mind with purpose, gratitude, focus? Or do you scroll through endless updates, messages, and opinions that have nothing to do with your assignment in life? Here's the catch: your mind is fertile ground. It doesn't care what you plant. It will grow whatever you allow. If you constantly consume fear, you will start seeing danger where there is none. If you feed your mind with gossip, you'll start losing trust in everyone around you. If you keep watching drama, your life will start feeling like one. But if you feed your mind wisdom, vision, discipline, your decisions, reactions, and energy start aligning with purpose. Let me give you a simple real-life example. Have you ever watched a suspense movie at night, and then suddenly every little sound in the house starts making you paranoid? Nothing actually changed in your environment. What changed was what you fed your mind. You let in a story that triggered fear, and now your perception is shaped by what you consumed. That's how powerful your mind is. It becomes whatever you expose it to repeatedly. You cannot expect clarity when you keep feeding confusion. You cannot expect peace when you're addicted to mental noise. You cannot expect progress when your daily content is filled with distractions disguised as entertainment. Your focus will always follow your feed. That's why some people can sit in silence and still feel overwhelmed, because their thoughts are full of what they've been feeding all day. Their peace has been hijacked by a diet of nonsense. And here's the shocking part. The people with the sharpest minds are not always the most intelligent. They are the most intentional. They guard what they let in. They don't just consume anything because it's trending. They don't just listen to everybody because they're popular. They choose what they expose their mind to, the same way an athlete chooses what to eat before a big game, because they know their mental condition determines their life's direction. Have you ever noticed how one motivational message can change your entire mood? One powerful quote can make you rethink your whole week. One moment of deep focus can give you the solution you've been chasing for months. That's not magic. That's the power of mental nutrition. Your mind is hungry every day, and it will consume whatever is available. If you don't feed it with truth, it will feast on lies. If you don't give it purpose, it will settle for noise. You've got to stop treating your mental diet like a buffet where anything goes. Every thought, every word, every piece of content is either planting strength or planting stress. You can't binge on foolishness and expect wisdom to grow. You can't consume toxic opinions all day and expect your mindset to be healthy. It doesn't work like that. Let's get practical. Think about your playlist. What kind of music dominates it? What kind of words are entering your mind repeatedly? Think about your social feed. Are you seeing content that lifts you or drains you? Are you watching people build or just watching people break each other down? Think about your conversations. Do they stir vision in you or stir worry? Are the people in your life feeding your fire or feeding your fear? You have to become ruthless about your mental environment, because whatever you allow repeatedly becomes your reality gradually. You won't notice it at first. It starts small. A little negativity here, a little comparison there, a few careless words, a couple of aimless hours. And then one day you wake up wondering why your life feels heavy, why you feel disconnected from your goals, why your energy feels scattered. It's because your mental focus was shaped by what you fed it day by day. Your mind is not designed to be neutral. It's either being trained or being tricked. It's either moving you toward your destiny or pulling you toward destruction. And the difference is in what you feed it. You can't keep watching people who doubt themselves and expect to believe in yourself. You can't surround yourself with noise and expect to think clearly. You can't read weak things and expect to feel strong. This is why you need to curate your mind like you curate your home. You wouldn't invite strangers into your living room to scream at you for hours. So why let content do that to your brain? You wouldn't eat spoiled food because it looks nice on the plate. So why feed your thoughts with garbage that just looks good on the surface? If you want focus, you have to feed focus. If you want clarity, you have to feed clarity. If you want breakthrough, you have to feed your mind with words that break the limits you've placed on yourself. It's not just about motivation. It's about transformation. You don't just need a better mindset. You need a better mental diet. Because once your mind is fed the right things consistently, your life can't help but follow in that direction. Stillness is strength, not weakness. Stillness is one of the most misunderstood powers in the world. We live in a culture that glorifies movement, noise, business, hustle, and the constant chase. People feel guilty when they pause. They feel like something is wrong if they're not grinding, not posting, not responding, not racing the clock. We've been conditioned to think that stillness is laziness, that silence means you're being left behind, that if you're not constantly seen, you're not progressing. But here's the truth most people miss. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is strength in disguise. When you're still, you're not doing nothing. You're doing the most important thing of all. You're listening. You're thinking. You're observing. You're aligning. You're allowing clarity to rise above chaos. Have you ever noticed that muddy water only becomes clear when it sits still? The same principle applies to your mind. You can't see your next step when your thoughts are stirred up by panic. You can't hear wisdom when your life is drowning in noise. Sometimes the most powerful move you can make is not movement. It's silence. Let me give you a real life example. Think about how a lion hunts. The lion isn't running around frantically chasing anything that moves. It crouches. It waits. It studies. It moves with intention. Why? Because it knows that real strength doesn't rush. It knows that patience is part of the power. And when the lion moves, it doesn't miss. Too many people are moving without strategy. They're running on fumes, making decisions out of fear, reacting instead of responding. And then they wonder why they're exhausted, why they feel off course, why everything feels heavy. It's because they've traded stillness for survival mode. Stillness allows you to reconnect with your original intention. In stillness, you stop running someone else's race. You stop absorbing other people's chaos. You stop carrying the weight of what doesn't belong to you. In that silence, you remember who you are. You remember what really matters. You remember that peace is more valuable than popularity, that wisdom is more powerful than noise, and that strategy is more productive than speed. Some of the most pivotal moments in your life will not happen while you're busy. They'll happen in stillness. That moment in the shower when the idea hits you. That quiet morning walk when you finally understand what you need to let go of. That silent drive home when the clarity you've been begging for just drops into your spirit. These moments don't come because you're trying harder. They come because you got still enough to receive them. You can't microwave clarity. You can't fast track understanding. Sometimes you have to sit with the discomfort. You have to feel the weight of what you're running from. You have to face the questions you've been avoiding. And that takes strength. Weak people run from stillness. Weak people drown it out with noise. But strong people know how to pause. They know how to say, I don't have all the answers right now, and that's okay. Let me get quiet. Let me get focused. Let me let the noise settle so truth can rise. Have you ever been in a room with someone who doesn't say much, but when they do, everyone listens? That's the power of stillness. Still people are deep. Still people are sharp. Still people don't waste words, don't waste energy, don't waste life. They speak with intention. They move with conviction. They live with depth. While the world is busy shouting, they're strategizing. While others are rushing into the wrong relationships, wrong deals, wrong paths, the still one is watching, learning, waiting. And when they move in power. You have to understand this. Life is not a race, it's a rhythm, and rhythm requires rest. Stillness is the reset button of your soul. You don't gain more by constantly doing more. Sometimes you gain more by pausing, by breathing, by creating space between what's happening around you and what's happening within you. In that space, your mind recalibrates, your soul recalibrates, your priorities get reordered. And now, you're not just reacting to life, you're leading it. People fear stillness because they don't want to face their thoughts. But here's the irony. The only way to heal is to hear yourself. The only way to grow is to confront what you've been suppressing. You can't bury what you refuse to face. You can't change what you refuse to sit with. Stillness is where transformation begins. Because stillness creates awareness, and awareness births change. Think about an arrow. Before it's released, it's pulled back in silence. No movement, no drama, no noise, just tension alignment. But the moment it's released, it flies with force, direction, and accuracy. That's what your stillness is doing. It's not delay, it's preparation. You're being pulled back so that when you move with purpose, precision, and undeniable power. Some of the strongest people in the world are not the loudest. They're not the ones always posting. They're not the ones always chasing. They're the ones who mastered the power of quiet. The ones who know how to sit in a room, close their eyes, and think. The ones who aren't addicted to proving anything, but are committed to becoming everything they were born to be. The ones who don't panic in chaos because they've practiced stillness so much, it became their normal. Stillness is not you giving up. It's you getting ready. It's you stepping back, not to retreat, but to refocus. It's you refusing to let the world dictate your pace. Because you've learned that sometimes, as you gain the most ground by standing still, your thoughts must submit to vision. Your thoughts must submit to vision. That right there is the principle that separates people who live with intention from people who live in confusion. You see, your mind was not designed to lead. It was designed to serve. But most people have flipped the order. They allow their thoughts to dictate their direction. They let every idea, every fear, every emotion decide their next move. And then they wonder why they feel stuck, why life feels like a cycle instead of a staircase. It's because the thoughts are in control and the vision has no authority. You cannot live a powerful life if your thoughts are not aligned with your vision. Your vision is the compass. It's the destination. It's the map that tells your mind where to go and what to focus on. Without vision, your thoughts are just wanderers. They drift from doubt to insecurity, from distraction to discouragement. One moment you're motivated, the next moment you're talking yourself out of everything you said you believed in. Why? Because there's no vision to govern your thinking. Let's make this practical. Think about a GPS. You don't just start driving and hope your car figures it out. You input the destination, and then the system tells you every turn, every move, every stop. That's what vision does for your thoughts. Vision tells your mind what matters. It tells your emotions what to ignore. It tells your fears where to stay in line. But if there's no destination locked in, your thoughts will take you on detours. You'll waste time second guessing yourself. You'll chase things that look urgent, but are completely irrelevant to your assignment. Have you ever tried to focus on something important, but your thoughts kept dragging you to what happened last year, or what someone said about you, or what you haven't accomplished yet? That's what happens when there's no vision in charge. Your mind becomes a magnet for distraction. You start feeding on things that look like truth, but are rooted in fear. And you begin building your life based on emotions instead of direction. You've got to understand this. Thoughts are powerful, but they are not always accurate. Every thought you have is not your truth. Some thoughts are just old habits dressed up as logic. Some thoughts are your past trying to speak louder than your future. That's why they must submit to your vision. Your vision is the gatekeeper. It says, this thought belongs. That one doesn't. This fear has no place. That dream deserves attention. People who don't have a clear vision will always be ruled by their latest feeling. They'll be fired up one week and completely defeated the next. They'll start strong and quit fast. They'll look consistent on the outside, but internally they're spinning. Why? Because their mind has no instruction. A mind without vision is like a camera with no focus. It sees everything but captures nothing. It's constantly zooming in on pain, failure, and anxiety because there's nothing greater guiding its focus. But when you have a vision, a true, compelling, deeply rooted vision, your thoughts begin to obey. They shift. They align. They start filtering out what doesn't serve the mission. You stop entertaining every conversation. You stop investing in every opportunity. You stop doubting yourself every time life gets uncomfortable. Because now you have something bigger. Something that says, I'm not here to react, I'm here to build. I'm not here to survive, I'm here to execute. Let me give you an example. Imagine someone training for the Olympics. Their vision is clear, gold medal. Do you think they let every thought into their mind? No. When they wake up tired, the vision says, get up. When doubt creeps in, the vision says, stay focused. When distractions come knocking, the vision says, not now. Their thoughts are powerful, yes, but the vision is in command. And because of that, they make decisions based on destiny, not emotions. This is what separates the average from the extraordinary. Most people wait until they feel like it to do something. People with vision do it whether they feel like it or not, because they've trained their thoughts to obey. They've told their mind, we're not running this race based on mood, we're running it based on mission. And don't think this only applies to career or goals. This is true for relationships, for healing, for growth. If your vision is to be whole, then your thoughts have to line up. That means you don't get to keep replaying old pain. You don't get to sit in bitterness and call it self-protection. Your mind has to support your healing. Your thoughts must serve your wholeness. If they don't, they must be rejected. Because anything that doesn't feed your vision is feeding your destruction. Some people never become who they were created to be because they let their thoughts stay in charge. They let fear be louder than purpose. They let insecurity have the final word. They let distraction look like opportunity. But those who understand the principle that thoughts must bow to vision, they live differently. They don't waste time. They don't shrink back. They don't drown in doubt. They rise, they build, they advance because their mind has a master, and that master is their vision. So the next time your thoughts try to take you backward, you ask one question, does this thought serve my vision? If not, it has no right to stay. You don't need every thought that shows up. You need the ones that grow you, challenge you, sharpen you, and move you closer to your destiny. Because your future is too valuable to be run by thoughts that don't know where they're going. When life feels loud, when your mind becomes a battlefield, and when confusion threatens to cloud your path, remember this clarity is not found in the chaos, it is birthed in the silence. The greatest breakthroughs don't always come through noise. They come through quiet obedience to the inner voice that says, there's more in you. That voice doesn't shout, it whispers. And to hear it, you must calm the storm within. You were not created to live in mental clutter. You were designed for dominion. Dominion over your decisions, your focus, your thoughts. That means you must lead your mind, not follow it. Every time your thoughts rise up in fear, anxiety, or doubt, you have the authority to say, no, I'm led by purpose, not panic. I move by vision, not emotion. Because if you don't control your mind will control you, and it will sabotage everything your heart is trying to build. So don't fear the silence. Embrace it. Don't run from stillness. Own it. That stillness is not emptiness. It's alignment. It's the sacred space where your next season is being constructed. Think about this. Even the mightiest eagles soar alone. They rise higher because they don't flap like the average bird. They glide. They trust the wind. They ascend in silence. Your clarity may not come in a crowd. It may not come with applause. It may not be flashy. But when it comes, it will cut through confusion like lightning in a storm. It will burn through every lie you believed about yourself. It will silence every voice that told you you're not enough. And it will echo one truth. You were born to lead your life, not to be dragged by it. It's to say greatness doesn't begin with motion. It begins with mastery. And the first battlefield is always your mind. That's why they say, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Because everything you are becoming starts with everything you are thinking. What you tolerate in your mind, you will live in your life. So if you want to change your world, change your words. Speak life to yourself. Declare order over your day. Don't just wake up and go. Wake up and ask command. Command your thoughts to follow vision. Command your focus to follow faith. Command your energy to follow purpose. Speak like the leader you are. You can't afford to let untrained thoughts ruin divinely ordered days. Life will test you. The pressure will come. But pressure doesn't destroy the prepared, it reveals them. Diamonds are only formed under pressure. And your clarity, your discipline, your inner focus, that's your preparation. That's your pressure-proof foundation. When other people fold, you'll still stand. Not because you're better, but because you're built. And you're only built when your mind is anchored, not anxious, aligned, not scattered, fixed on vision, not distracted by noise. Don't wait for the perfect conditions to gain mental clarity. Create it. Create the space. Create the stillness. Turn off the noise, mute the drama. Get away from the voices that keep you stuck. Clarity doesn't come to the distracted. It comes to the intentional. People who prioritize their peace. People who protect their energy. People who know that focus is not a gift, it's a decision. And you make that decision every single day. So when you feel lost, when you feel foggy, when your next step feels invisible, pause. Don't panic. Refocus. Say to yourself, I will not be driven by confusion. I am led by purpose. I don't chase noise, I cultivate clarity. Because that's the mindset of champions. That's the attitude of builders. That's the power of mental clarity. It's not about having all the answers. It's about knowing how to return to your center and move from a place of truth, not turmoil. You don't need to be louder. You need to be clearer. You don't need more followers. You need more focus. You don't need everyone to understand your journey. You need the courage to walk it anyway. As one great quote says, the successful warrior is the average person with laser-like focus. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be focused. You don't need a million ideas. You need one vision, followed through with relentless clarity. So the next time confusion knocks, let your stillness answer the door. The next time fear rises, let your vision speak louder. Because once your thoughts submit to vision, your life submits to purpose. And once that happens, no storm, no voice, no pressure, no failure can stop what you were born to build.